guys, this is Christy Fulk with Create with Christy. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the US. Well, today I'm here to show you how to make a fractured card, and it's the fractured card but with a twist. Instead of just using one DSP, I'm using two different designs. So I want to show you how to do that. So watch the video so you can learn how. If you'd like to make this along with me, just look down the video description below and click on that blog post link, and you'll find the supply list and all the paper dimensions you need to make this card. You can come back and make it with me. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, first off, I want to show you the bundle. This is the Magical Meadow Bundle that I'll be using. And the stamps that I will be using, I'm going to be using this one here, this one, and I'm going to be using the Colder Weather Brings Us Together and this stamp. And then for the tag, I'm also adding this one right here. And then the dies that I need this one here and this one here. And those are all the dies I'm going to use. What I like about this die set, all the ones I have over here are standalone dies. The ones that were over here plus the two that I just took off, die cut the images in the stamp set. So it's a really neat bundle. I really like this a lot. I'm also using another die set. This is one I use a lot. This is the Stylish Shapes dies. This is in the annual catalog. And I'm using the squares here. I'm using the number 3 die. Whenever I do numbers, I always start off with number 1 being the smallest. So it's 1, 2, 3. So it's actually the middle square in this set. And then I'm also using the Snowflake Sky 3D embossing folder. This is in the September to December mini catalog, just like the Winter Meadow Suite is. So you'll be able to see this a lot better once I do some embossing with it here in a few minutes. Okay, first off, I want to get the card base ready. I'm using a 11-inch by 4 1/4 inch piece of thick basic white. And whenever I use the thick basic white, I score the fold instead of just folding it without it. And a lot of times when you watch my videos, you see that I usually don't score it. But when I'm doing it with the thick, I do. So I'm going to go ahead and line this up. The halfway mark of the 11 would be 5 1/2. So put this here. I'm going to get my dark blade out of the way because that's the cutting blade. I don't want to cut this. I just want to score it. So being thick cardstock, I'm going to use a little more pressure and go over it a few more times. And now it's all ready and it's going to fold a lot easier. Okay, now I want to get some stamping done. So I'm going to grab a 3-inch by 3-inch piece of basic white. I'm going to grab the Lost Lagoon ink pad. I love this color. I'm so glad it came back. And then I'm going to use this stamp here. So I'll ink this up. And I'll stamp it over here. Okay. Now I'm going to take the Smoky Slate ink pad. And I'm going to use this stamp. So ink this up. And I will just put it over here on the side. I'm going to be die cutting these out. So it doesn't matter exactly where they are. So that's ready to go. And then I'm going to grab this piece. This is a 2 1/4 by 2 1/4 inch piece. I'm going to lay it down like a diamond. And I'm even using the grids on this paper and lining these corners up with the same line. That's going to help me to be able to stamp this greeting straight. So here's the Colder Weather Brings Us Together. It doesn't have to be perfectly in the middle because I'm going to be die cutting this. I'm looking at the and the brings us to make sure I've got it straight. There we go. So that was in the Smoky Slate ink. And we've got one more thing to stamp. I'm going to move these out of the way just because I'm going to be using this one here. I'm going to go ahead and reinforce that fold better. I'm going to use my bone folder. So that card base is ready. Now I'll open this up. And I'm going to be using this one here. So I'm going to use my Lost Lagoon. I'm going to stamp this in the bottom left corner. Hold it down for a few seconds. And then that's going to match the Designer Series paper on the front. Okay, that is all the stamping we need to do. So let's get the die cutting machine out. Okay, I want to get this ready for die cutting. This is our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. I'm going to use the base platform number 1 and a die plate number 2 and a standard cutting plate number 3. And I'm going to grab these two and this one. I'm going to take this and put this on here. I'm centering it, trying to make sure that everything looks straight. I want those points to be straight. I might move this over just a little bit. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and put a piece of tape here. And this tape that I use is Post-it tape because it comes off really easy. If you don't have Post-it tape, you can definitely use Post-it notes and just use the adhesive side of that, or washi tape. Now I think that Post-it note tape and the Post-it notes work a little better because they come off a lot easier. Now I've got this one on there, but the adhesive is strong enough on this to hold it in place, but I can take it off without ripping up the paper. Now, it looks like I might have got that a little too close together. Normally, I could have done that all at the same time. I should have stamped a larger stamp probably first, so that I would have been able to get that little one up a little higher. That's okay. I'll just have to run it through one more time. No big deal. So we've got this here. So now I've got a neat little diamond for my greeting. And then take this one out. We've got this one. Get these over to my dish so I'm organized here. And then I need this one. We'll just line this up. And I'm looking at the leaves. I'm also looking down here at this like V shape down here, making sure that I'm filling that little V in all the way and these leaves. So we want that to fill in that image. And you can also see, you won't be able to see it in the video, but I can see a little bit of gray in that little hole right there. So I know I've got it lined up really good. Put the tape on there again, put another standard cutting plate on top. Run this through and it'll be all done die cutting. But I'm going to be doing a little embossing here in just a minute. Oops. Static cling. Let's go ahead and get this off. And that's ready to go. And now to get this ready for a 3D embossing folder, I'm going to take the standard cutting plate off and the number 2 plate, the die plate. And now I'm grabbing the embossing folder. This is that Snowflake Sky. And what I'm going to do, it's a little hard to tell, but the snow up here, it's really light looking snow up here. And then when it comes down, it gets denser. And I kind of wanted to be down here where it's got more embossing. So these don't have to be perfectly straight since the dots and the snowflakes are every which way. But these are 4.5 inch by 1/2 inch strips. So I'm just going to put these in. Normally I've done a couple fractured cards before, but I have never embossed these before. And I also made these thicker. The last 2 I've made, I did 1/4 inch width, but this time I'm going a little bit wider because I wanted to be able to emboss it. And I thought the embossing would show up a little better if I used wider strips. So I've got those in there. Fold always needs to go first when you do the die, put it through the die cutting machine. I'm going to grab our specialty plate that goes on top, run this through. So that's the sandwich you need for a 3D folder. Bring this through here. And now I've got some embossed, I don't know if you can really tell, they're regular looking snowflakes and little dots. And these are all ready for the card. So we're all done with the die cutting and the embossing. So let's get this machine out of the way and finish the card. Okay, since I'm going to be using these narrow strips right here, I decided to get my silicone mat out. This is a piece from the Winter Meadow Designer Series paper. I'll just call it DSP from here on out. This is 3 3/4 by 5 inches. So that's the one with the trees. I'm going to grab the greeting, move this over and put some adhesive on this and grab some seal. Now, I've seen people put these right in the center. I've seen them put it every which way. I'm going to be up a little bit above center because I'm going to be adding those stamped die cuts I did just a little bit ago. So I'm going to have it up here just a little bit, close to the center, but still up a little higher. But it is centered left and right. So before I push it down, I'm looking here. That looks about the same width, so I'm happy with that. So now I'll push this down. Now I'm going to take one of these strips. I'm going to put some adhesive pretty much down the whole thing. Definitely want to make sure you have some on the ends. I'm going to put this down. What I'm going to do, I'm going to line this top edge with the top edge of this square like that. And I'm putting it right up against the whole edge. I'm even pushing it to make sure it's right up against the edge of that square. Put that down. And then you just go, I guess that's clockwise. I'm going to put some more adhesive on this one. Here's another strip. And then I'm going to put it, actually, you know what? I think I am going to go all the way down because you don't know exactly where you're going to trim these off. And I want to make sure I have adhesive holding that down really good. So now this edge is going to go right up against the edge of this and the square. So just make sure it's all attached. And then when I know I've got it where I want it, then I go ahead and push it all the way down. Seal does have a little give when you first put it down. So I put it down lightly so I can kind of scoot it a little bit. And then I put it down all the way when I've got it where I want it. So we'll grab another strip. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and do the whole thing. Put this right up against this one again and right up against the square. There we go. Now push it down. And then last but not least, we're going to do this one. And oops, there we go. Stuck to my finger pretty good. I'm going to do this just like I did the other three. Get it right up against the square. Oops, pop that up. There we go. And isn't that easy how you get that fractured look? I love this technique. I don't know who came up with it, but they're brilliant. So I've got this, but I want to grab a piece of the Snowflake Magic Specialty DSP. This is also in the Winter Meadow Suite. This is a 3x3 inch piece. And what I'm going to do, I want to add this to these two opposite sections, okay? So what I decided to do, instead of putting the adhesive on here, I'm putting it right on this DSP, making sure I don't get any on that square. I mean, the strip, I mean. So I've kind of made like a little triangle right there. I'm going to see which side I like the best, which corner I like the best. It really doesn't matter too much. I think I'm going to go with this one. So I'll lay this down. I'm getting it, just filling in that whole section, making sure it's up against those strips. Then I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to grab my paper snips. And then you want to turn it over so that way you can put your scissors right up against this big rectangle of DSP and just cut off what's hanging off the edge. So keep going here. I get to this and I'm going to go ahead and turn it and cut this part off. You can use a paper cutter, but I think it's a little easier to do with the scissors. And to keep it straight, I just put those scissors right up against the edge of that DSP. Now I could go ahead and clip these off, but I'm going to go ahead and put this, do this one too. So I'm going to put some adhesive in this section again on the DSP, getting it close to the strip and making sure I don't put any on the strip. Okay. And now I can pick a corner of this one. Oh, actually, that is going to cover the whole thing up. So I've got two corners. If I tried this one, it's not going to cover the whole thing up, so I know I don't want to do that one. You know what? I kind of like that because I kind of like having a lighter snowflake there too. So let's do it this way. Like getting it all those edges right up against those strips again. Push that down when I've got it where I want it. And then we'll turn this one over. And I will clip this one off, just going right up against, getting those scissors right up against that DSP. Now, I probably could have gone with a smaller piece of DSP, but I wasn't sure, so I went to the 3x3. The person I saw add this little twist about having two different DSPs was Lisa Freeman. And she said she saw somebody else do it too, and I can't remember who she said, but I do remember who I watched the video to see how she did it. But I like having those two different looks. It still looked good just having those trees on all four corners, but I like being able to mix it up a little bit. So now I can get this out of the way. I'm going to grab a piece of Lost Lagoon. This is 4 by 5 1/4. And then we'll just turn this over, and this is just going to go in the center of this cardstock here. This is like a mat for it. There we go. That looks pretty good. Now I'm going to bring in the card base, making sure the fold is on the top and make sure my inside is down here at the bottom because I don't want to get that on there wrong. I just made a card the other day where I put it on upside down. Thankfully I could get it off. Oops, let's get this going here. There we go. Now it's working. Sometimes you have to wheel the seal. Hey, that rhymes. Wheel the seal a little bit so that way it starts working again. So I'm going to put this right here in the center. Okay. Now I'm going to grab those two die cuts. I'm going to grab the silicone mat again too because I'm going to put some seal on this one. So just the bigger areas, there are like three areas on here that are thick enough for the seal. I'm not going to put on these little leaves because that would make it so I'd have glue sticking out in those openings. And I don't want that. So I'm going to kind of lay this here. This little section right here, I kind of want to put around that together. That's how I thought it looked the best when I made the card the first time. That looks good. So I'll push that down. This one, I want to pop up. So I'm going to grab some dimensionals, and I'm just going to use 3 dimensionals. I'm going to put them, now this one just fits where those berries are. So there's a berry there, and there's one here, and then there's one here. You can put a half one there if you want to, but this worked just fine just doing this on my original card. Now to get the paper backings off, so kind of just angle this and scoop them up. And then this one is going to go about right here, kind of crisscross the bottom stems just a little bit. And I don't want to cover up that gray too much, but I kind of like that as a background for the berries. Okay, and now I'm going to take a piece of ribbon. This is also in the Winter Meadow Suite. This is the silver and white sheer ribbon. It's not available right now, but I do believe it's supposed to come in next week, so it will be in again real soon. But I just love the shimmer on this. It just looks so pretty. Really goes good with the winter theme. So this is a 5-inch piece. I'm just going to tie a single knot in this. And as I'm doing it, I'm kind of turning it a little bit to make it a V. Okay. I'm not going to tighten it up too much because I don't want that knot to be too small. Now I'm going to grab my glue dots. Put that right on a glue dot. And I'm going to put this here on the bottom of the berries in that leaf branch right behind it. Okay. Now I'm going to grab my scissors, and I'm going to leave this a little long, but I want it to be angled a little bit. The ends, I mean. So I'm going to do that. Kind of make them so they're about the same length. And they're almost done with the front of the card. Actually, the whole card. So we got the inside done, don't we? I'm going to be using the Faceted Gems Trio Pack. Another thing that's in the suite. I do believe I'm using everything in the suite. And these are Lost Lagoon, White, and Smoky Slate. And I decided since there was so much Lost Lagoon on here, I was going to use the Smoky Slate ones. Any of these would look really good on this. So I'm going to grab one here. And I kind of like it here. I'm kind of going to put 3 of them around these stamped images here. Grab this one. If I can get a hold of it. There we go. And I'm going to put it right here. And then one more. And I'm going to put it right here. Okay, so the card is actually done. See how fast that went? You could definitely mass produce these for Christmas really quick. You would just stamp your images and die cut them all. Cut your strips, emboss those. And you can, like you saw me do, you can do multiple strips in that embossing folder. But that is the fractured card. So here is a tag that I made. So that way, if you do this and give it to somebody as a Christmas gift, you have a wrapped Christmas gift, then you can put this tag on top of it and they'll coordinate together. So what this is a 2x4-inch piece of basic white cardstock. And then I put one end into this punch here. Make sure I've got it angled. There we go. I need to look in my screen. I love this topper. It can go up to a 2-inch tag, actually 2-inch width. It works the best. So that's what I did here. So this is 2x4. I punched that. And then I put a piece of the same DSP here. This is a 2-inch by 1-inch piece. And then a 2-inch by 1/2-inch piece of this specialty paper right there. Did this, just stamp these and die cut them like that, and then I stamped the Winter Wishes stamp in the set, but I used Lost Lagoon instead of the Smoky Slate this time because I thought we needed a little more Lost Lagoon on this one. And I also opted, because I didn't want to use up all of my Smoky Slate gems, so I used Lost Lagoon on the tag, and I thought that looked really good. So I hope you enjoyed my project today, and if you want to stamp along with me again, make sure you look down the bottom and subscribe. When you subscribe, then a bell icon will pop up and select all. That way YouTube will notify you every time I upload a video and you won't miss anything. And if you live in the United States and do not have a demonstrator of your own, I would love to be yours. And I'd love to send your first set of catalogs out to you for free. So here's the annual catalog that's going on. And here's that September to December mini where the Winter Meadow Suite is in. So if you would like to get your first set of catalogs for free from me, just click on that contact me link below in the video description and give me your mailing address and I'll get these made out to you right away. So I'll show these projects again. I really had fun making these. I've been dying to use this bundle, so I had a lot of fun making these. So I hope you enjoyed them, and I hope to see you in my next video. And make sure you check out my lives. I do a weekly live, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time here on YouTube and on my Facebook page. And there's a link to my Facebook page down below if you're interested in that. And it's always a card class at home. And you'll find out about that. Just join me on Thursday nights at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. See you later, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.